This Equipment World video is brought to you by Chevron 600 ADF Ultra Low Ash Diesel Engine Oil. It's time to kick some ash. Hey guys, what's going on? Wayne here. You're watching Equipment World. Welcome into another episode of The Dirt, the video podcast that brings you interviews and discussions on the latest in construction equipment and what's going on in the construction industry in general. Today on The Dirt, we're going to be talking about the new SVL 97-2 compact track loader, the KX057-5, and the U55-5 from Kubota. And to do that, we're going to be joined by Patrick Baker. He is Kubota's construction equipment product manager. And Patrick's going to tell us everything that's new across these machines. But before we get into that, we also spend a little bit of time just talking about kind of, Kubota's kind of place in the construction market in general. They've seen a big kind of increase in demand here in the last few years and a lot of new success really in their construction segment of machines. So there's lots to talk about there, lots of interesting stuff to get into there. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hey, Patrick, man, thank you so much for joining us today here on The Dirt. How you doing today, man?
Doing well, Wayne. Thank you so much for giving Kubota and myself the opportunity to sit down and speak with you today.
No problem at all. We'll go ahead and get into some of the questions that I had for you, but I did want to talk a little bit about, where Kubota kind of finds itself or sees itself in the market for kind of compact construction machinery today. Obviously you guys you're a well-established player in the equipment industry, but the majority of that time, much of that success has been on the ag side with tractors and whatnot. But lately here, you guys have really kind of seen increased success, increased demand for those specific kind of construction machines on the compact side. So, how would you kind of characterize that increase in demand for Kubota construction machines? And what do you guys kind of attribute that to internally? Is it some kind of, focus that you guys have had over the last few years on really growing that? Or has it been just kind of like the legacy of the brand kind of helping that along?
That's a great question to kick things off. And, I'm going to take us back to the late 70s. So in 1979, Kubota began selling construction equipment. A lot of people don't know how long we've actually been selling construction equipment in the U.S., but it's all the way back to 1979 for us. But really, it all boils down to our dealers' dedication to our machines and getting our machines out in front of customers, building those relationships. We really lean on our dealer network. We're almost, I think, the last I checked, we have almost 800 construction equipment dealers, and that's growing in the U.S. But really, the dealers are just the backbone of our business. But internally, the construction equipment team here in Grapevine at our headquarters, we have an excellent group of engineers that we work with, sales coordinators from our parent company, KBT in Japan, a really, really great group of individuals that take this job very seriously and take providing a machine that's going to go out and work every day and be reliable for our dealers and customers. We take that burden very, very seriously. So one would be the dealer dedication, and then I would say closely second would be our team here in Grapevine, and then our guys out in the field, the regional sales managers, the construction equipment business development managers. It's very much a team effort. And when we get feedback from our customers, from our dealers, where we have an issue, where we need to fix something or correct something or make something better, everybody jumps in and everybody gets to work and puts their head down. And I think we're bearing that fruit of success from just hard work and boots on the ground.
Absolutely. And, and another kind of big key to growth in the construction market, lately has been, for Kubota specifically, has been the 2016 kind of acquisition of Great Plains, which brought Land Pride with it. Among other things, Land Pride, really played a key role in the development of you guys' first, mini skid steer, the SCL 1000. And, beyond that, Great Plains also, at the beginning of the year kind of, or end of last year, bought, a 750,000 square foot building building there in Kansas to support, increased production of some of those Kubota construction machines. So kind of, I say all of that to get to the question of, what has that acquisition of Great Plains meant to really bolstering Kubota's share of the construction market? Kind of give us a clearer view of that interplay between Kubota and Great Plains, or maybe even specifically Land Pride, since you guys are working on specific machines and attachments with Land Pride that are even under that Kubota brand. Give us an example of how you guys are kind of working together in the development of a tool or a machine.
The acquisition of Great Plains and Land Pride has been extremely beneficial for Kubota as a whole. Like you said, we've got a new facility that's going to be building the SVL 65 starting in 2022. We're going to get to be able to put that USA manufactured and made sticker on those SVL 65s, which is very important. And then when it comes specifically to Land Pride and their involvement, I'm speaking with their engineers and their product manager just about every day. So in 2016, when Kubota acquired Great Plains and Land Pride, I think we were offering 10 of their attachments for construction equipment. As we sit here today, it's over 40. So not only are we building our stand-on compact track loader, the SCL 1000, which we're super, super excited about. We've got the expansion, and we're going to start manufacturing and building the SVL 65 up there in Salina, Kansas. But just from an attachment standpoint, we're offering and developing and engineering newer, better, and just better made construction attachments to really make those machines, those Kubota construction equipment machines, more effective and more productive on the job for our dealers and customers.
And I mentioned that building and that expansion that's going to support the manufacturing of more of those Kubota construction machines, and you just kind of detailed that a little bit as well, specifically with that SVL 65. And I asked this question just because a lot of the Kubota dealerships, especially the one in town here where I'm at here in Alabama. It's a pretty big Kubota dealership, Bondi's Kubota, and that you see a mix, right? It's all orange equipment, right? So you've got some of the tractors, you've got some of the excavators, some of the CTLs and skid steers and whatnot. But it's a good mix of both sides of that equipment. So for folks out there who are kind of wondering, where you guys draw that line between ag and construction equipment, what machines in the lineup are specifically construction machines, and what machines have you specifically seen the most demand for here in the last few years on that construction side?
So we currently offer 12 compact excavators ranging from 1 to 8 tons, and then we have 3 current compact track loader models. We call those the SVL models. That's the 65, 75, and 97-2. And then we offer 2 skid steer models, the SSV 65 and SSV 75. We now have the SCL 1000, the stand-on compact track loader we're very, very excited about. And then we also have 3 wheel loader options, the R530, the R430, R540, and R640. Those 540 and 640 models are also updated in new models that we recently launched in 2020. And we've also got 3 units that we consider tractor loader backhoe, or our backhoe units, the B26, L47, and the M62. So all in total, the construction equipment lineup for Kubota is over 20 total machines. And to hit on your second question there, we've seen growth in all of our market segments for the last several years. So it's a really great accomplishment, but we really don't rest on our laurels. We continue to improve and update and build and manufacture better and newer models and machines to add to that lineup. But specifically, just like you've seen in the industry, we've really seen compact excavators and compact track loaders really take off in the last 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. I mean, and especially considering like the expansion there in Salina for specifically that SVL 65 machine, and just all of the attachments that are available for those machines, it definitely makes sense. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to that SVL 97-2. Obviously, this is the largest CTL, or it's the largest compact loader that you guys offer. Between the CTL and the skid steer lineups. This machine is replacing the SVL 95-2S. So give us a bit of background on that previous machine. When was the SVL 95-2S kind of released? Where does that machine sit in the Kubota CTL lineup? And, what have you guys heard from customers that they enjoy, most about that machine?
It wasn't too long ago that Kubota really dove into the CTL market. In the early 2010s, we saw the SVL 90. That was really our largest offering to date. That's when we really kind of got into the construction CTL game. And then a few years after that, we released the SVL 95-2S. And, that was just a few years ago. And customers were really drawn to that. It had excellent lift capacity, excellent power and productivity. Customers really like the hydraulic pilot controls of operation. And then just some of the ease of use and operator comforts, like the sliding glass door. You didn't have a big swinging door to get in and out of the cab. You could get in and out of the cab with the loader arms obviously down. But that's really where we started to build that customer base, was the SVL 90. We transitioned to that 95-2S with a lot of hydraulic improvements with those pilot controls, better operator comfort, ease of use. And now we see ourselves with our largest offering, the 96 horsepower SVL 97-2.
Yeah, I know a lot of guys out there really, really like that sliding glass door, and even guys on who maybe use some competing machines would love to see that feature copied a little bit for sure. So with that in mind, what are the key improvements that customers should really know about with this new SVL 97 model that you guys have? You guys, obviously there was a little bit of an up in horsepower there, so a change in the model name, but what are the kind of the key improvements in this new SVL 97 model?
So you're going to see a completely redesigned DEF system. You're going to have a new DEF header, DEF injectors, redesigned DEF tank. We even have a lockable DEF door to help with the confusion. We still have customers from time to time trying to put diesel in that DEF tank, so we now have a separate lockable DEF door. And what's really impressive about that DEF system, it's supposed to last the life of the machine. So you're looking 10,000 plus hours on that new DEF system, which we think is really, really impressive. So we really want to shout out our engineering team on those DEF updates. And then when it comes to the SVL 97-2 performance and operator comfort, a lot of time and attention went into the cab. We've doubled the cab pressurization. We've relocated cab seals. You're going to find a really tight-fitting, well-sealed cab. Operators are going to find much less dirt, debris, dust, even water penetration getting into that operator space. The operator is going to be less fatigued and much cleaner in those long days in the seat. You're also going to find we've added some technology. You're going to find Kubota Now Telematics, which we launched January 1st of this year. It's going to be standard on the SVL 97. You're also going to find a standard rear view camera. So you've got a rear view backup camera now standard as well. And then last but not least, we've added some machine protection. We've added some steel gussets to the back of the rear hood to really make sure we protect those major components during operation. A lot of the machines I see are nice and clean and sitting in a showroom or in our engineering shop. But I know once those machines hit a job site, it's a rough and tumble life out there for everyday use machines. So we added that machine protection to keep the engine, transmission, everything protected on the back end.
And you mentioned that engine there. The engine at the heart of this machine is a Kubota V3800, and as we mentioned earlier, it outputs 96 horsepower. This is the power. There's an increase over that 95 model into this new 97. But is this basically the same engine? Platform or same engine design? Was anything kind of carried over in that engine design from the SVL 95 over to this new machine, or is this a completely new kind of platform and everything? everything. But before we get into that, I do want to take a quick second right here to tell you about the sponsor of this video, Chevron Lubricants. Look, protecting your diesel engine and its exhaust aftertreatment system, that has traditionally been seen as really an either-or proposition when it comes to choosing the engine oil that's going to protect your system. And that's exactly why Chevron spent a decade or more of R&D work developing a no-compromise formulation. Now, I don't have to tell you why a clogged DPF is bad news, but here's the real kick in the pants. 90% of that ash clogging up your DPF and then upping your fuel and maintenance costs, it comes from your engine oil. And you might be thinking, gee, why don't they make an engine oil with less ash in it then? You'll be happy to hear that Chevron agrees with you. They've developed a new ultra-low ash diesel engine oil that is specifically designed to combat DPF ash clogging. Delo 600 ADF with OmniMax technology cuts sulfate ash by 60%, radically reducing the rate of DPF clogging and extending DPF service life by 2.5 times. Before, you had to choose between protecting your engine or your after-treatment system. Now, you don't. Delo 600 ADF with OmniMax technology. It's time to kick some ash.
Customers will find that same V3800 engine in the SBL 97-2. You're going to see 96.4 horsepower output, very strong, very reliable, very, very productive engine. Kubota is known for their compact engines, very, very well respected, and we saw no reason to change anything on that engine from the performance of the 95. But just to reiterate, along with that V3800 96.4 horsepower engine, we do have that updated DEF system that's going to last the life of the machine. So partner that with an engine that's going to run as hard and as long as the operator wants to. We think we've got a really great setup on this new 97.
Yeah, and before we kind of get into anything else, I did want to get a question in here about hydraulics. I mean, is there anything different with the hydraulics? Can customers pretty much expect pretty much the same kind of hydraulic performance on the 97 as the 95? Are there any kind of improvements there or tweaks there? Any kind of improvements thanks to that increase in horsepower at all? Maybe driving flow a little bit more, or is things pretty much the same?
It's going to be very, very similar to the 95-2S when it comes to hydraulic performance. The specs are going to be very, very similar. Customers and the feedback we receive through surveys, through reaching out to dealers, visiting customers and dealers, the customers love the performance and the productivity of our hydraulic functionality of the 95-2S. And it was just something that we didn't feel like we needed to really play with or improve upon. But what we are going to offer is that improved power, the new DEF system, and you're going to have those same reliable hydraulics for the same amount of money. So we actually didn't increase the price on the machine from the 95-2S, and you are getting a little bit more power and productivity out of the machine.
Awesome. So, and a couple of really nice aspects of this machine is that, 2-speed comes standard, but there are 2 throttles also present. You've got the hand dial throttle and a foot throttle. That's a really handy feature. Tell us about the importance of having both of those inputs present and what you've heard from customers in particular on having both of those throttles present.
So the thought process behind having both a hand and dial throttle as well as a foot pedal throttle is just the flexibility for the customer and ease of use. So you have all sorts of different operators who like to operate in different manners, different ways, different applications. And with the 2-speed travel being standard, our 1-speed is 5 miles per hour, and then we top out at 2-speed at just over 7 miles per hour at 7.3. So you've got a lot of good speed there, but you're also very controlled. And it just, the 2 options, both hand dial and foot throttle, allow the operator, depending on the application, to be flexible, to give them more control of the machine and what they're doing. So that's really all it comes down to. Now, I know currently speaking in the industry, we're looking at a large majority that really like to set that dial at, 2,000 RPMs and let the machine run. But you still have guys in specific applications that will use that foot throttle, loading a pallet. They're able to raise the boom quicker, but they can also creep towards a truck and load a pallet instead of having that just 2,000 flat RPMs you might find while you're running a brush cutter or a mulching head or something where you need that high flow, that high power system.
Now, as a vertical lift machine, it's the 97 has a healthy hinge pin height of 128.5 inches, and it's got bucket breakout force of 7,961 pounds. And both of those, if you just kind of look around at competing models, both of those are among either top of class or number one, number two, and several of the specs kind of round out that way. So this is a machine that can really kind of, in its size class, can really throw its weight around and compete with most of the competing models at or near the top of that class. So how did the specs of those specs, the bucket breakout hinge pin height on the SVL 97-2 kind of stack up to that previous SVL 95 model? But along with, and what are some of the other kind of specs or ways that it kind of improves upon that previous model?
Before we build a new machine or update a model, we always reach out to our dealers and our customers, and we ask them tons of questions. Where can we improve? What can we do better? What would you like to see on our machines? And the feedback overwhelmingly from our dealers and customers was that we didn't really need to adjust any of the specifications from the 95-2S to the 97-2. So your rated operating capacity, your lift capacity, horsepower, you may see slight improvements there, but it's not going to jump off the page at you. This 97-2 was all about offering premium operator comfort, added technology, and improving that DEF system to keep the machine up and running longer and more productively. And again, I'll reiterate that those operator comforts and those improvements came at no cost to our dealers or customers. You're going to find the same pricing that you find from the 95-2S to our SVL 97-2. So a little bit more bang for your buck with the same proven and consistent performance specifications that you saw on the 95.
Now, you were just talking about operator comforts. Are there any improvements inside the cab that we should know about?
Before we jump into the cab, again, I want to reiterate a few points that I had spoke about earlier. We've doubled that cab pressurization. You're going to have a better seal. The seal locations for the cab have been updated and changed to create a stronger seal. So you're going to get less dirt and debris and water penetration in that cab. And then you're going to find that added technology, that standard rear view camera, that standard Kubota Now Telematics. And you're also going to find features like an optional LED working light setup, as well as a number of, like for example, we've carried over the high suspension, the full height air suspension seat as well from the 95. So very comfortable, very roomy cab with some added technology and a better seal to keep those operators productive.
Like I said, we do have two new excavators to talk about today, the KX057-2 and the U55-5. But, before we get into those machines, I did want to talk to you a little bit about the excavator market as a whole, from Kubota's perspective. And you guys are actually calling 2021 the, year of the excavator. You guys recently kind of unveiled both of these machines during a kind of presentation to some of your dealers. We know how important the dealer network is to you guys at Kubota. And, in that presentation to dealers, you use that term year of the excavator. So what kind of brings that declaration on? Why is 2021 the year of the excavator for Kubota? Do you guys have a specific kind of focus in improving market share there or improving kind of customer awareness around excavators? What's kind of behind that declaration of year of the excavator for you guys? 2020
and 2021 were really interesting years with the changes in our social lives with the pandemic and the way construction had to move forward with outside forces moving. But 2020 and 2021 were a really important year for Kubota because of the launch and release of three new excavators. The U48-5, which we'll see later this year, was recently launched at our dealer meeting in 2020. And then the new U55-5 and the KX057-5. Both of those excavators were -4 generations, so they're model updates. They're completely new models with that -5 generation tag there at the end of the nomenclature. But really, from our perspective on the CE team here in Grapevine, Texas, every year is the year of the excavator for us, especially with the way the market is trending. We've seen a huge increase in the popularity of compact excavators, and we really timed it perfectly with this increase in popularity with these 3 new models packed full of new features and benefits.
Yeah, and just as an aside here, you mentioned kind of 2020 and the weirdness, uniqueness of the year that is thankfully behind us now, and we're in the middle of thankfully our rebound. Here, it really kind of started in that third quarter, fourth quarter for a lot of companies, but definitely became evident in the first quarter. But a lot of the compact equipment OEMs like yourself, were really able to weather that storm a little bit better than some of the players out there that are making some of the larger machines. And like you said, in a large part to kind of the excitement and the huge demand, whether it be from rental side or from the kind of customer side, buying machines for compact equipment, specifically those compact excavators, skid steer loaders, compact track loaders and stuff, but specifically on those compact excavators and how that market is kind of heating up. What's kind of what was kind of the company kind of take on 2020? Is that pretty accurate? You felt like the kind of excitement around compact equipment kind of carried you guys through that year? Is it kind of a blip on the radar at this point, or just kind of like wiping your brow and a sigh of relief? What's kind of the take on how 2020 went within Kubota?
The 2020 take from my standpoint with Kubota was just flexibility and getting things. Everybody had to take a pause in early March and April. We didn't know what to expect, but just the teamwork, the camaraderie, the determination of just the Kubota team as not just CE but as a company. We could have rested on our laurels. We could have waited longer, etc. But we just kept working. We kept just chopping at wood and and really pushing and trying to control what we could control, and what we couldn't. But we were still able to release 6 new products last year. We had two model wheel loader updates, 3 new excavators, and then the SVL 97-2. So it was a huge year for our construction team. And when it comes to place, I think you're seeing more people at home. Like you said, the rental market is really booming, especially independent rental. I know it's been a little bit more difficult for the larger rental houses. But from a compact standpoint, you've got people putting in swimming pools. You've got a lot more people doing hardscape and landscaping work around their homes. Municipalities are more engaged with compact equipment, and even residential. You're seeing a lot of growth in residential with these low interest rates, and these are the perfect machines to dig those foundations, to lay those sprinkler lines for sprinkler systems. And I think we've seen continued growth both in excavators and in other Kubota construction equipment products for many years, but you've really seen that hard work starting to pay off. It just happens to be in a difficult year for many.
Yeah, well said. And before we kind of get into the specific machines again, I do have one more question on just kind of excavators in general. What are kind of the most important design elements or kind of performance aspects that are being baked into Kubota's excavator development at this point? What have you heard from customers that's most important to them? What are the things that when approaching a Kubota excavator, the engineering team, the design team, and everything, they're really, really kind of focusing on and considering and really kind of prioritizing, really nailing down as an important kind of design or engineering standpoint or feature from the Kubota standpoint?
We broke it down into a couple different categories. So first and foremost, it was we have to have proven, consistent performance. The machine has to be powerful. It's got to have solid breakout force, good dig depth, because that's what these machines primarily do. They're lifting or digging, and but you also have a lot of attachments on that end, so it's got to be very hydraulically sound. So proven, consistent performance is number one. Number two would be adding technology, refined technology and advancing technology within the cab. So we've added a number of steps and a number of options to these Dash 5 excavators that's going to improve technology features for customers. And then operator comfort. We took a lot of time to make the cab quieter, to enlarge the floor space and the head space for the operators, both in the conventional cab as well as the reduced tail swing cab for the Dash 5. So proven, consistent production, added technology, and then operator comfort were kind of our three big to-dos on our checklist for these new excavators.
Awesome. And so we'll go ahead and get into the actual models now. We're going to start here with the KX057-5. This is a conventional tail swing machine, and it replaces the KX057-4. Patrick, one of the big things of this new model is, like you said, improved technology. So tell me a little bit about the technology on this machine and how that offering kind of improves over what was found on that previous Dash 4 model.
Right off the bat, customers are going to immediately see the new 7-inch LCD full-color monitor display. Really, really great picture, great color. We tested it on rainy days, cloudy days, snowy days, really sunny, bright days. We put it through the ringer. It's got great picture, great clarity. And another great thing about this new display is the functionality. You can change your auxiliary modes. You can change your flow rating. It's all operated through a jog dial on your keypad, just to the right of your right-hand joystick. It's got machine diagnostics, and it also functions. What's going to lead me into our next new feature is our rear view camera, our backup camera. So we have an optional rear view camera on these new Dash 5 excavators. The screen, when you'll use a button on the keypad, I believe it's number 8 on the keypad, little picture of a camera. You'll click that button. Your screen will be split roughly 65-35. You'll have machine diagnostics across the top, and then a really clear, beautiful picture of behind the back of the excavator for both safer operation and just giving that operator that extra comfort when working in a tight, confined area. You're also going to find a new optional keyless start. So no longer are you searching all over the house for your excavator keys, or somebody jumping in the cab that you don't really want in the cab running your machine. So what we can do on these Dash 5s is you can program up to 10 user codes. So it's a 4-digit code that you'll punch in using the keypad, and the machine fires right up. The process takes roughly 10 seconds, and no keys involved. All you got to do is unlock the door with the key, and then you throw them in the cup holder, put them in your jacket pocket, and you punch in your 4-digit code, and the machine fires right up. So it's both a convenience and an anti-theft measure there. And then last but not least, or two other things, we've got, we now offer Kubota Telematics, so optional telematics on all of our compact excavator lineup. That's, from our K008 up to our KX080. 1 to 8 tons, we can offer telematics on all of the excavator offerings. And then last but not least, it goes back to that display. We now have a third function hydraulic return line. You used to have to manually go to the side hood and physically move that lever or pull the lever down to function that one-way hydraulic flow. That's now a 5-second process through the display. No longer jumping out of the cab. It's no longer a manual process. You're running a one-way attachment. It's just a flick of the wrist with the jog dial, and you're up and running.
Very nice. And we just, a great kind of rundown through all the technology stuff, and obviously a lot of that stuff kind of keeps you in the cab on purpose. So are there any kind of updates within the cab of the KX057 that, non-technology related, non-display related, but maybe to the seat or the space or anything else new with this cab apart from the technology?
We really put a premium on operator comfort with these new Dash 5 models. So you're going to have a wider front glass window, and with that new display, you're going to have added legroom on your right side, so the cab feels more spacious. We added almost 3 inches of leg space in the cab. And I know 3 inches doesn't sound like a lot, but it really allows the operator to really stretch out and find that perfect digging or operating position. You're also going to find added head space. You've got, we removed the metal sash bars above the operator's head. And one, that adds more headspace. The operator feels less claustrophobic and less confined in a tight cab, but it also helped reduce noise. We've lowered the decibel level from the Dash 4s now into the Dash 5s to 74 dBA, so it's much, much quieter than a lot of our competitors and quieter than our Dash 4 generation. And when it comes to the seat, we now offer a dual adjustable console and seat. That's going to allow the operator to change both the console the seat is on, as well as the console, or as well as the seat itself. So again, the operator is going to be able to put themselves in that perfect and most comfortable position to stay in the cab, running and being productive for 8, 10, 12 hours a day. You're also going to find we now offer an optional air ride suspension seat, again, adding to that operator comfort and keeping them comfortable. And then last but not least, we've added and improved our AC and heat system. We've gone from 5 AC and heat vents on the Dash 4 models to now 7. And you're also going to see an increase in that airflow. So those early winter mornings when you got to defrost the windows, that's going to be quicker and improved. And also, I know down here we need it a lot in this hot Texas summer heat. That AC with 7 vents feels really, really great.
Awesome. It's like so many awesome updates between that technology, the improvements to the cab that really are going to add up to a huge improvement between this Dash 4 KX057 and the new Dash 5 model. So yeah, anyone hopping in one of these new models is in for kind of a world of difference there for sure. Kind of getting into performance here, the KX057-5 has 12 feet 9 inches of digging depth and a bucket breakout force of 10,172 pounds. Is this roundabout the same performance specs as the last generation model, or are there any kind of performance updates or improvements that we should know about on this new model?
So the performance specs are going to be very similar to the KX057-4. Not a lot has changed on the performance spec side of the machine. Again, we rely heavily on dealer and customer surveys. We get out and physically go and, well, I know times are a little different right now, so we're doing a lot of these virtually, but we're constantly checking in with dealers and customers. What needs to be improved? What can we do better? And the customers resoundingly said the machine specs are right where we need them for this 5 to 6 ton machine. And we really, pride ourselves on those proven and consistent hydraulic and specifications, hydraulic and performance specifications that our customers and dealers have come to expect. So the premium outlook on these machines was improving operator comfort, adding those technology options, and then keeping and improving upon those proven and consistent performance specifications.
Now, this is a 5.5 ton machine, basically, right there between that 5 and 6 kind of ton sweet spot there. There's been a lot of increased demand or increased interest specifically in that kind of 5-6 ton kind of range, just kind of the versatility of these excavators. Obviously, you mentioned earlier kind of the increase in residential that's driving a lot, the kind of demand from rental and kind of hardscape and landscape and stuff like that. The stuff that's kind of definitely the stuff that you expect to see these excavators on. Are there any other kind of uses or job sites that you guys are kind of seeing this machine used pretty heavily on just due to its versatility, or is it really mainly that residential hardscape, landscape, and the other places that any other places you would kind of normally expect to see a compact excavator like this working on?
The 5 to 6 ton weight class is very unique because you're really starting to get into some greater lift capacities, better breakout force. So you are seeing these machines both on residential and commercial job sites. Really on the commercial side, you might be in an urban setting up against another building, maybe running water lines or something, doing backfilling. But it, first and foremost, residential and commercial construction. And then I would say second, you've got hardscape and landscape construction. We're seeing a growing number of these machines doing, pools, again, sprinkler systems, that's that nature of work, as well as, moving large rocks, again, hardscape and landscape. And then you've got utilities is still a very large application for these machines, being able to both lift pipe and dig the ditch for the pipe. And then I would say 2 growing markets would be the rental market, which we're seeing a large kind of uptick in growth for these models, as well as municipalities and cities, just because of the reduced tail swing, and even our conventional tail swing are still very, very capable of working in tight areas and leaving a low footprint, not destroying a bunch of landscaping or curbs, sidewalks when operating.
Nice. And Patrick, both of these excavators, now we mentioned that we just talked about the KX057-5 and the U55-5 we're going to talk about next here. But both of these new excavators are powered by the same 47 horsepower Kubota engine. What do we need to know exactly about this engine?
So Kubota engines, they're known for their reliability, power, and performance. So we don't really make a lot of changes to those engines. They're very well established. One of the points I will make is that we've improved our DEF system on these new Dash 5 excavators. The automatic regeneration system allows the operator to continue to work, and the machine will burn off the exhaust soot as you're working. But several thousand hours into operation, you do have to get the DPF serviced. But what we've done is on the Dash 4 models, that hour amount was around 3,000 hours. You would most likely need that regeneration service. We've extended that now to almost or roughly 4,500 hours. So not quite doubled, but you've really extended that service several hours to keep that machine out on the job and working effectively.
Awesome. And moving on to the U55-5, in terms of footprint, breakout engine, and really weight, this machine is almost identical to the KX057-5, save for the fact that the U55 is a reduced tail swing model and the KX model is a conventional tail swing. Talk a little bit about the similarities between these two machines.
Yeah, so what's really great about these Dash 5 excavators, the U55 and the KX057-5, you're going to find all of the same improvements. You're going to find that new 7-inch color display, optional rear view camera, optional keyless start, a dual adjustable console and seat, reduced noise. It's all there. Everything we just touched on the KX057-5, it's identical. We've got the optional air ride suspension seat, and the improved AC system. Everything is going to be there on that U55-5 that you find on the KX057-5. So even though the U55 is a reduced or minimal tail swing, it's got all the bells and whistles that you see on the conventional KX057-5.
So, as we've been talking about, the U55 is a reduced tail swing model. What is the tail swing radius of this machine? How does that compare to the KX057? Exactly, what kind of savings there are you getting on that tail swing radius when you kind of put those two models head to head?
That's an excellent question, Wayne, and one that gets me excited because the U55-5 has a tail swing of 3.3 inches, very, very small. Just over 3 inches. You're able to really work in a confined area up against the wall, especially utilizing that boom swing that's featured on all of our excavators. But compared to our conventional tail swing, there's not a great amount of difference. So with the KX057-5, you're looking at just over 11 inches of true tail swing. So we're still under 1 foot of tail swing for a conventional KX057-5 that's going to give you added lift capacity and a little bit more power and strength. But one of the excellent things, and I'm going to bring in the U48-5 that we'll see later this year. But by offering and including the new U48-5, Kubota will now have a conventional tail swing offering as well as a reduced tail swing offering from the 2-ton weight class all the way to the 6-ton weight class. And I don't know of any other manufacturers out there that have that sort of flexibility within a lineup to offer both conventional and reduced or minimal tail swing, and even when that conventional tail swing is very minimal.
You mentioned so many of the shared improvements between these two models. And so we've really covered kind of updates to the cab and operator comfort and everything. But are there any other kind of improvements on the U55-5 that we need to know about? Improvements over that Dash 4 model that we need to know about.
I think one of the things, and like you've already mentioned, it's got the same updates and improvements that you see on the KX057-5. But when you have a reduced tail swing model, usually that cab shrinks. And that's not the case on the U55-5. Operators are still going to experience that 3-inch increase of foot space. You've got a couple of added inches of head space with the removal of those metal sash bars overhead. And that confined space of a reduced tail swing is not going to feel so confined in these new U55-5. So that would be the biggest takeaway for me, other than the added technology and the added operator comforts, is just for the customers and dealers out there, don't think you're going to have to squeeze into this cab. It's very roomy and spacious, and designed that way to keep you comfortable while operating. We're just going to continue to keep our foot on the pedal and keep relying on our dealers and customers for great feedback and trying to build the best compact excavators in the industry.
Awesome, man. Well, again, hey, thank you so much for hopping on today and talking to us on the dirt about the new KX057-5 and the new U55-5 excavators from Kubota. Patrick, it was a pleasure, man. Thank you so much, and be well, man.
Thanks, Wayne. I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much.
All right, guys, so that's going to wrap it up for us here today on The Dirt. Thank you so much for watching. We, of course, always appreciate your time. And thank you again to Patrick for hopping on and joining us today to talk about these new machines. Hey, let us know what you think in the comments below. We always love hearing from you guys. And if you like this video and found the information in it useful in any kind of way, but especially with your next machine purchase or rental, do us a favor and hit that like button below. It really does help our channel out. And if you want more coverage and more videos of construction equipment, head on over to our website at equipmentworld.com. And while you're there, be sure to subscribe to our daily newsletter. And if you haven't already, subscribe right here on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button below and be sure to turn on notifications. Hit the bell so you're getting up-to-the-minute alerts whenever we drop a new video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said earlier, we always appreciate your time, and we'll see you in the next one.